I thought of putting the piano stool in a useful position to reach the top of the frame. I unlocked both entrances to the room and finally prepared to start my investigation. I only needed a quick glance to realize that something inside that room wasn't as it should be. Not even a minimum sign of struggle, no item out of place, none of the typical evidence usually found at a kidnapping scene. The bed was even made, and I was sure that Kathrin Mulzberg hadn't had the room fixed up after the alleged crime. Alright, let's try to understand what happened in here. Strange. The bed wasn't disturbed, and yet Kathrin had been kidnapped overnight. Strange. The bed wasn't disturbed, and yet Kathrin had been kidnapped overnight. The projector worked only through the insertion of rectangular cartridges, but I couldn't find any of those. There was nothing of interest to me at the moment. The room as a whole reflected the shy personality of someone barely beyond her childhood years. That poster was curiously out of place. It exuded repressed fury and bloodshed. An inner conflict? That side of the house faced a small backyard, where I could see an unused shed. Directly below the window was a trash can. If the girl decided to get rid of something compromising, all she had to do was throw it in the garbage. I decided to check. If my assumptions were right, maybe I would find something useful in the middle. At first glance, I didn't see anything unusual. Then, from the filthy depths of that abyss, something emerged. As my friend Frank would say, bingo. Literally, had I worked this hard just to recover a bingo card? Yet, my intuition urged me to persist with that bingo card. They contained grain and animal feed. I was fond of that feed. It tasted like ham. Better stay away from it. Here, Bridget. Come here, sweetie. Something in the look of that dog told me it didn't want to play. Some of those numbers reminded me of something. Lupe had already put the stool back in its place. If there's one thing I really hate, it's people that can't stand anything left out of place for more than 5 minutes. I didn't need that stool anymore. My skin smells natural, so no need to wash it. thought the room visible on the lower floor was Eric Mulzberg's. It had been a while since I'd practiced with the blue steel. The drawer contained only a few sheets of paper with nothing interesting on them, and a fiberglass bowl containing some little numbers, like the ones used to play bingo. I didn't want to move them. They might be hiding a clue. Notes, scribbles. There was no hint or clue on those pages. It was stuck, and so in all probability unused. The jewelry box contained exactly what I expected. Jewels. Surely they weren't trinkets. That the girl was filthy rich wasn't exactly news. Better think about it. I scanned. My God. How shameful. There was no comics section. No matter how hard I tried. In that moment, it didn't seem to be a good solution to me. Just hygiene products, nothing I wanted to examine thoroughly. Hello, Lupe.
Do you need something?
Stick around, Lupe. Maybe. Or maybe not. I could have stolen those keys just to kill time, but I preferred to wait. Surely the need to do that would arise soon enough. The sight could have fooled me, but surely not the smell. That was rosemary. The door was locked, but I didn't mind. I could go inside by the main entrance. It was impossible to open the lock with my bare hands. I'd need the key. Mulzberg had clearly conveyed that he didn't want me in his room. The room as a whole reflected the shy personality of someone barely beyond her childhood years. That poster was curiously out of place. It exuded repressed fury and bloodshed. An inner conflict? Notes, scribbles. There was no hint or clue on those pages. I thought it was better to look for an spick and span linen. It looked very durable. Spick and span linen. In case one of my shoelaces broke, I'd have a good replacement. Those numbers had to mean something. What if they were a clue to the bingo card I found? I didn't understand how that could possibly... Those numbers had to mean something. What if they were a clue to the bingo card I found? I inserted the numbers scribbled on the envelope. I inserted the numbers scribbled on the envelope. I inserted the numbers scribbled on the envelope. Those numbers had to mean something. What if they were a clue to the bingo? Better think about it. The card was the right size to be inserted into the projector, almost as if it was specifically created for it. I inserted the numbers found in the envelope, but the beam of light only highlighted letters without a complete meaning. I was sure they were a clue, but I needed something else. A little outdated as technology. Who still uses a projector these days? Was the girl fond of antiques? Notes, scribbles. There was no hint or clue on those pages. I didn't want to move them. They might be hiding a clue. I didn't want to move them. They might be hiding a clue. I didn't want to move them. I thought it was better to look for another. Notes, scribbles. There was no hint or clue on those pages. The jewelry box contained exactly what I expected. Jewels. There were a bunch of numbers. 11, 23, 8, 52, 72, 36, 61. They had to mean something. Notes, scribbles. There was no hint or clue on those pages. I was sure I had set the right code. The first clues to suggest it were the numbers inside the drawer. Based only on those, though, the possible combinations would be countless. I got the key to reading it from the envelope I received the morning before. The lunatic was toying with me as a cat does a mouse, and yet I couldn't help but continue going down that road. I was sure I had solved the code hidden in that card. The light scattered before reaching the bookcase. There was nothing of interest to me at the moment. It was too dark to read anything. I scanned through the volumes displayed in the little bookcase. Greek history, ecology, botany, astronomy. My God, how shameful. There was no comic section. The wax seal was recognizable in its simplicity, just a vermilion circle. There were a bunch of numbers: 11, 23, 8, 52, 72, 36, 61. They had to mean something. Notes, scribbles. There was no hint or clue on those pages. An old-style phone, one of those with the rotary dials. An old-style phone. Hello, Lupe.
Do you need something?
Stick around, Lupe. I felt like an old man hearing the final number called, the victorious one. I had done it. The peculiar angle of the holes directed the beam of light toward 3 specific points on the bookcase, highlighting 3 syllables: Bal, Sa, Mo. Balsamo, Italian for balm. Why did Kathrin leave a clue in Italian? No, I was confused. All that work just served to lead me to a hygiene product? As weird as it might seem, the message hidden in the young girl's room led me to the word balsamo. It's Italian for balm. Still unsure of what I had just found, I took the product in question and looked at it more closely. Nothing. No writing, creases, or rip on the label. No tiny objects hidden in the gooey interior liquid. Just a simple damned balm. For that first day of investigation, I conceded defeat. I'd lost half a day risking my life on unstable makeshift ledges and in smelly sewers. I lost the other half playing bingo with the ghost of the person I was trying to find. Oh, and came away with sticky soap bubbles in my pockets. Yet, I couldn't think of it. There was going to be no ransom. The egregious Mr. Mulzberg would have been waiting in vain until I found something. Lately, I hardly get any sleep. This kidnapping case was making matters worse. An extravagant girl, Kathrin, the claustrophobic atmosphere of the Mulzberg mansion, the twisted challenge that was thrown at me, and that mask. That mask was haunting me. That morning, I found a surprise waiting for me in the Miami Harbinger. Tucked between its pages, similar to the letter found 2 days before, an envelope stuck out. Inside it, a note, displaying some chess pieces, whose meaning would only become clear to me later, and a picture that immediately attracted my attention. Kathrin, hand in hand with a guy I'd never seen before. I woke up with very few ideas, but this event gave me a new lead to investigate. But who sent that hint? I had to show the picture to Alice by the end of the day. I was sure she knew her stuff about online searches. The paper opened with news about a little tourist plane that had apparently escaped from the Bermuda Triangle unharmed. Normally, the Harbinger didn't deal with such cases, but in this particular situation, there were clues and disturbing details that attracted the attention of the media. From the article, it appeared that the investigator in charge was none other than the infamous Noah Adote Adewale, the man responsible for the so-called weird cases of the HPD. I had very little to do with him, but he always seemed very antisocial to me. Ramos was still on the run, but the experts believe it impossible that he could have left the country due to the extremely tight security checks. I hope they weren't making the same mistake as me, underestimating that guy. In addition to investigating the picture, I had some other leads to follow. First of all, Lupe had told me Mulzberg would return during the day, and I absolutely had to question him. In addition, I wanted to better inspect the alley where I'd been challenged by that madman. I had to check if someone saw or heard something useful that night. First, I had to make sure Alice saw the photo and made a copy before showing it around. I couldn't risk someone taking it away from me. Hello.
Hi, Lars.
Look at this picture, Alice.
That's the recently kidnapped girl, isn't it? The one you were investigating.
Precisely. Do you recognize the guy accompanying young Kathrin?
I recognize the girl only because her picture is everywhere. I don't recall ever seeing him at all.
Have you got any way to find additional information?
I have many resources, my dear investigator. I'll make a copy of the picture, and I'll let you know. But I'll need some time.
Good girl. Dig up all the dirt you can.
Immediately, oh umpteenth wannabe alpha male. I'll let you know.
Another thing, while we're here. If I say the Italian word balsamo, or balm, does it remind you of anything?
Do you think this is the right time to play to word association games?
I can assure you that this balm is vital to the Mulzberg investigation. Saying it out loud, I know it sounds a bit stupid, but you can't even imagine how much sweat it took me to get it.
I'll do a search. Maybe the word has a certain secondary meaning that we're missing.
Hello.
Hi, Lars.
I can't stop staring at your lock.
All right, then. Come on, lay out your hypothesis. Let's see your famous intuition at work.
Judging by your behavior, I'd say that in your adolescence you were a shy and introverted girl. You spent your days wondering how it would be, for once, to find the courage to strike up a conversation with anyone. Courage, however, that you never found, causing you to grow that rebellious lock, hoping it might earn you a shred of attention. That was your way of declaring to the whole world you weren't the loser they thought.
I don't mean to brag, but at school, I was one of the most popular girls. I did well in almost all my subjects, but not enough to be classified a bookworm. You let me down. Maybe you're not the great detective that I thought.
I'm just warming up. We'll catch up later, Alice.
Keep me posted.
Who are you? And why have you entered my house without even knocking?
Oh, I'm sorry, Lupe gave me free access. I'm Detective Bundy of the HPD. I'm helping with your daughter's kidnapping case.
The HPD, you said? Am I wrong? Or are we talking about that new support police department formed in the last few years?
You're not wrong, and as you probably know, we average almost a 70% rate of closed cases. And of those, I can say without false modesty that almost 45% are closed by moi.
You're very self-confident, Mr. Did you say Bundy?
It didn't seem right to thump my chest and scream my name as usual, so I just nodded in silence.
So tell me, why is the HPD involved in a normal kidnapping case?
We both know this is not a normal kidnapping case. You are a big shot in this town. The police asked us to help. I hope you don't mind. And most of all, I hoped you wouldn't check. At that moment, I was balanced on a fragile tower of lies.
No, I don't mind at all. The more the forces that cooperate, the greater the chance that we have of finding my daughter as soon as possible. I'm at your complete disposal for anything you may need.
Perfect. And remember, please don't leave the country until the investigation is concluded. He shot me a look that immediately indicated, and without any doubt, that in that house, there was no room for humor. I thought it was better to look for another solution. Mr. Mulzberg?
Go ahead.
What can you tell me about your daughter?
And Kathrin. I know it might sound strange given her social status, but she was a very simple girl. Everyone that knew her couldn't help but love her. But at the same time, nobody dared get too close. You know what it's like.
I understand perfectly. Anything else?
She loved music. You might think that's a family trait, but it's not. Kathrin was the first and only one of us who ever touched an instrument. Personally, I know little or nothing about music.
I have to ask, do you think there is anyone who might want to hurt her?
I absolutely and categorically reject the idea. Kathrin had no enemies.
I couldn't help but notice how Mulzberg talked about his daughter in the past tense. It seemed a bit too soon for such resignation. About the sign painted on the facade. How do you think they did it? It's quite high.
I have thought about it nonstop for hours. And honestly, I can't explain it.
Tell me everything you saw or heard.
Last night the silence was abruptly broken by a loud crash. Me and the gardener, who lives in the shed behind the mansion, ran outside and found that symbol. I immediately thought it was blood. Unfortunately, I was wrong. It's just paint. There's something I find rather odd. Namely, why bother painting that symbol?
By doing so, the culprit ensured the image would travel around the world and achieve the desired visibility, attracting my attention specifically.
You have a very refined cognitive process, Mr. Bundy. I can understand why you were assigned to the case.
I'd be interested to know what business you're in precisely.
Without boring you with the technical details, my company works in the field of shipyards.
Boats? Are they that profitable?
We're talking about a company that covers every sector, from little rafts for family entertainment to luxury yachts, which, believe me, very few people can afford, right up to the construction of entire oil platforms.
That must cost a fortune.
You can't even imagine. For such jobs, we only agree to participate in exchange for sharing the revenue that results from the actual extraction. At the end of the day, Mr. Bundy, it's always about oil.
Do you know if your daughter was involved in a romantic relationship during this period?
What the hell kind of a question is that? I refuse to talk about my daughter's private affairs.
Your daughter has been kidnapped, and every possible lead must be followed. So please, avoid making a scene, and be cooperative.
You're right. Sorry for my overreaction. But even if I wanted to, I wouldn't know what to say. No, I don't think Kathrin was having a romantic relationship with anyone. She's still just a girl.
Maybe she is to you. Look at this photo.
Where'd did you find it?
I'll keep my sources confidential if you don't mind. Now, can you please explain to me why you look so upset?
That picture would be very inconvenient if leaked to the press, Mr. Bundy. My daughter's kidnapping would quickly devolve into rumors of a romantic getaway, and that's a scenario I can't risk happening.
I can assure you this photo will remain in my hands only. But now please answer the question.
I don't recognize that man. I trust you'll identify him and then report back to me, won't you?
I'll keep you updated. But bear these words firmly in mind. I don't work for you.
I understand perfectly. Now, if you don't mind, I have to steel myself and regain control of my business.
His reaction seemed disproportionate to me, not attributable to simple fatherly jealousy. To hell with Mulzberg's wishes. I'd tear apart his room.
Dios mío, qué susto. You scared me.
I didn't think there was anybody in the house. I hoped there was nobody in the house.
Even if the pain is fuerte, I couldn't leave the house in dirt, you understand? And then I couldn't leave el señor Mulzberg alone in such a moment. He is upset and feels that he can do nothing of use.
Commendable. But now you should really let me search the room.
I cannot let anybody enter in here, you remember?
I get it. But I might find something useful for my investigation.
Si fuera por mí, I'd let you search the whole house. But this job me necesita y no puedo risk to lose it.
I understand. Don't worry. Oh, but do worry, Senora Maid. I'll get in there, one way or another.
Bring Miss Kathrin back to us, I beg you.
Just what I needed. The maid decided to be a hero right at the least appropriate moment for my investigation. I strongly felt I had to get in there, and I certainly wasn't going to be stopped by a stereotypical maid talking in Spanglish. What do you think of this photograph?
I never see that man before.
And yet Kathrin seemed to be pretty much of her current age.
Maybe a secret novio, como se dice, a sweetheart?
I have every intention of finding out. Tell me something else about Kathrin.
Lately she was having a time of isolation, muy preocupante. Maybe because a piano competition went wrong. The kid really cared about it. She practiced for a long time.
How long did this isolation last?
Months and months, señor. It wasn't like her. Such a lively chica who never let nada get to her. Not even the spirits haunting the house could scare her.
The spirits haunting the house?
You'll think I'm loca, señor. Forget what I just tell you.
Don't worry, I'm used to crazy lunatics. Tell me more about these spirits.
The Mulzbergs are a muy ancient familia, and the spirits of their ancestors are still in here.
Do you have any material proof? Maybe some ectoplasm, a recorded tape with macabre children's voices, something like that?
I never saw any of these manifestations, but La Señorita Kathrin did. One night, while she was in the upstairs hall, she hears some whispers. Then, suddenly, words from a threatening voice echo in the air, and a bloody heart almost hit her.
What kind of threatening words?
One of the ancestors' mottos. I read it many times while I dust on the upper floor. Madre de Dios, I'm so terrified this could happen to me too. I come from a very Catholic familia, and the bloody heart always scared me since I was a niña.
I liked Kathrin more and more. Taking advantage of a bloody heart and a motto uttered from who knows where, she had designed an epic prank. Unconsciously, from the past, the kid had just sent me a clue to getting rid of the maid. I should replicate that scenario myself by acquiring a bloody heart. I also had to figure out the cursed words used by the girl to lend credibility to her story. The housekeeper told me she had read it while dusting on the upper floor. In addition, I needed a place where I would have full view of the housekeeper, but the main door wasn't an option. Maybe the window on the upper floor would suit me. There's absolutely nothing I can do to convince you to let me in, right?
Lo siento, señor, pero no puedo.
If I wanted to obtain access to that room, I'd have to scare that woman away. I needed a famous motto spoken by one of the Mulzberg ancestors. I had to find a bloody heart to make the prank more believable, and I had already found a way to put the prank into practice. I climbed from the window into Kathrin's room. Child's play, all things considered. Let's make this day of investigation worthwhile.
Si puedo ayudar, estoy aquí, señor Bundy.
window was directly above the tycoon's, offering me a good opportunity to infiltrate it. I just had to come up with a method to lower myself down there. There was nothing else to see. My skin smells natural, so no need to wash it. Why lock up that poor hen? Why lock up that poor hen? Why lock up that poor... Hello, good man.
Yes?
What can you tell me about this photo?
Well, well, they look like two tender lovebirds.
Did you consider this could be the kidnapper's face?
Gosh, you're right. Did you show the picture to the authorities?
Of course I did. Experienced forensic scientists are working on tracking the subject at this very moment. Stick around. I could have stolen those keys just to kill time, but I preferred to... Surely the need to do that would arise soon enough. It seemed authentic. The Mulzbergs even had a coat of arms. The man had an impressive tuft, the gaze of someone who stared death in the eye multiple times, and a medallion that made me inexplicably shiver. The guy had something familiar about him. Count Manuel Cortez Mulzberg. According to the plaque, he had started a branch of the family that settled in Spain, in the autonomous community of Andalusia, but his line of succession had become extinct by the end of the 16th century for reasons not clearly specified. Archbishop Mulzberg da Molina. Judging by his size, I imagine that he loved ham more than God. And there was more. It seemed that his love for food was second only to his lust for women. He even forged a motto about it. The love of the Lord must be experienced in every form to be truly grasped. This obsession of his, together with his size, caused him to die of heart failure at a not very advanced age. I recalled a story told by the maid. Was this Molina perhaps the inspiration for Kathrin's prank? Well, the broken heart didn't match. I had just discovered the words the kid had used to scare the maid to death. I've always suffered from a strange phobia. Strangers' bathrooms terrify me. The window was directly above the tycoon's, offering me a good opportunity to infiltrate it. I just had to come up with a method to lower myself down there. Strange. The bed wasn't disturbed, and yet Kathrin had been kidnapped overnight. I didn't know much about music. The cart contained many products for house cleaning: liquid soap, detergents, various sprays. A small yacht was docked in front at the main entrance of the mansion. On its side were the words Blue Mermaid. Bit trite for a name. The sight could have fooled me, but surely not the smell. A chicken house. A chicken coop? I mean, a cage for chickens. In this case, there was just one hen, but a very fierce-looking one. Only a huge quantity of trash remained now. The door was locked, but I didn't mind. I could... The meaning of that little note, along with the identity of the one who delivered it to me, remained a mystery.